I'm glad you're here. I'm glad somebody's here.
Yay!
For those watching on video, I'm Brian. For those that know me, this is what I look like without a hat. So, about 2 weeks ago, Dad texted me. I think I was on my way to work or coming back from work, and he asked me if I wanted to do this today. And the text message, he knows how to write them to me. He gave me a lot of outs. He gave me a whole bunch of them. Hey, bud, wanted to offer this to you. If it's, if it's something you're not comfortable with, if it's something you don't want to do, don't feel any pressure. Don't feel like you need to do it. Just wanted to offer it to you. And I really didn't want to. Now I texted him back, and like hours later, and told him, or asked him if I could have a couple of days to think about it. And I think I threw in pray about it just because I didn't want to sound like a huge wimp. But in my mind, I was thinking I was just going to tell him no. And if I had told him no, no one would know. Nobody would know that I didn't do it except for me and him. And he wouldn't tell anybody. But everything that we've been talking about for the last few weeks, I don't know how it has affected you or impacted you, but it has changed my life. It has changed the way I look at every single thing, from work to my family to baseball teams that I coach. Like every single thing, I can see the stuff that we've been studying. I can see it everywhere, and it has changed me. And the moment that I changed the way I started thinking and I changed the way that I was talking, an opportunity came up in this text message. And I told him yes. Obviously, because I'm standing here right now. And we're going to unpack why I said yes as we go on tonight. But I told him yes, one of the main reasons is because of that. Because of everything we've been studying for the last few weeks. And I think the first service, he called these things pearls of great wisdom, of great value. And they are. And these pearls that we've been studying the last few weeks, they're Torah, wealth and prosperity. It's not just if you sit crooked because your wallet's big. It's not just money. It's wealth in my relationships and prosperity and in my life, in every area of my life. And it's based in Torah. Right. Just like the Sabbath is, just like learning His name was, just like His Moedim, how we eat. All of those bites we were able to take. And at the time they looked like big, huge bites. But we took them. And now you couldn't talk out any of us out of the truth that those are. Right. Same with this one. And I don't want us to pull back from this because of places that we've been before that talked about prosperity. Or to pull back from it because of experiences that we've had with those places or with those churches or with that subject. Go into this with an open mind and know that this is Torah too. Right. This is important. This is another piece to have a full picture. All these people that we read about, they walked in it. They were just like us. It shouldn't make us uncomfortable to talk about it. If these pearls don't cause us to move and to act and to do something, we're wasting them. Right. And that's what I didn't want to do. Now, as bad as I wanted to tell him no, everything that I've been talking to anybody that'll sit still, Krista can tell you, I can't quit talking about this. It's changed me. And I can say that and say that and say that and say that. And then when an opportunity comes up, if I go right back to the old habits, because for years I've said the same thing. When talking a few years ago, Matt, you said something. Well, I've always thought when Pastor Steve decided to hang it up, Brian would probably do it. And I didn't say anything that day, but the thought that I had was, no, I won't. Because it's not something I'm comfortable with. It's not something that I would honestly write down as something that I would desire to do. The thing I've always said is, well, no, that's not me, but if you give me my guitar, if there's a room full of 5 people or 5,000 people, that doesn't affect me. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't intimidate me. I'm confident doing that. But it's not a fair comparison. I forget that, almost 20 years ago now, we moved from Texas to here, and Dad said, hey, you're doing music. I didn't do music. I didn't sing. I didn't play anything. And he scared me, but he didn't give me a bunch of outs that day because he probably knew what I would do. And if he had asked me this question to do this today, a month and a half ago, I would have probably said the same thing. But I've been changed. And when he first asked me or told me that I was doing music, we had a little short microphone cord that would reach from 10, 15 feet away from a small little PA system, and we would push play on a CD. Not tracks, it was people singing, and I would stand there with a microphone and sing with them. And it was embarrassing. But I got determined in the middle of that till I'm not going to keep doing this. And I had a right-handed guitar, which was awesome if you're right-handed, but I'm not. But I restrung it, and I learned a chord at a time. And I was terrible at it. I was so bad at playing guitar. Not the first time I did it, probably the first 6 months that I did it. It's not easy. And you play one and you try to sing at the same time, it's like hitting the reset button and starting over again. It's not easy. But I was determined, and so for hours and hours and hours, and I did it every single day. And after a few years, well, now we're around 20 years later, and I say with a puffed out chest, yeah, give me a guitar, I'll do it. But not talk. Well, that's not a fair comparison. It's actually really unfair because I never do this. When he asked me to do something like this, the first thing I think of is, man, I'm not you. I can't do that like you do. Well, he didn't ask me to do it like he did. He asked me to do it. And then I think, well, man, I'm uncomfortable doing that. It's not something that I am skilled at. Well, it's because I have never done it. And so many times in my life, I'll sit in a church service, and before it's done, I will find myself inspired. And a fire goes off on the inside of me, and I'll say, yep, that's truth. I can recognize it. I know what truth sounds like and what it feels like. And then right outside that door is life. Once you get inspired here and you hear truth here and you feel it changing you even as he's still talking about it. But then you walk and you grab that doorknob and you walk outside, and then your life is there again. And it's so easy to just go right back into doing things the way we always do them. I've done it. I've done it for years. But like I said, everything that we've been studying has changed me. And so I've determined that I'm going to be a person that moves. I'm not going to be a person that just hangs on for the ride. And so that requires me to do something different than I did yesterday. It requires me to do, I know what the result is if I do like I've always done it. I know what that gets me. I know where that takes me. I know what it produces in my life. But I'm not going to be that guy anymore. I'm not going to be a guy that talks about it. We sit here and we hear these things and we hear these truths and we believe them. We'll tell anybody that wants to listen to them. We believe them. We write them down in our notebook. That's how you know if we think it's important. We wrote it down. But how do we take it from what a good service, what a good word, to it's real? And so now I'm going to take it to my baseball team. I'm going to take it to my job. I'm going to take it when I'm sitting here looking at my children and we've got to deal with X or Y or Z. These pearls apply to that. All of these pearls that we've been collecting for years and years and years apply to every single thing that we deal with every single day. And that's what I want to talk about today. How do we take all of the things that we've been learning and been reading and been unpacking service after service? How do we take them from that's awesome to walking out the front door and it being something that's real that I can hang on to, that I can hold, and I can literally use it like a tool in my life? So what we were going to talk about tonight is, where is you? What is actually you? Is it my personality traits? Is it my emotions? Is it my mind? my thoughts, what I do for a living. I do what I do for a living more than I do almost anything else. Most of the time that I'm awake, that's what I'm doing. Is that who I am? Or is it my hobbies, the things that I'm passionate about, that I love? Or am I something else? Am I something separate from all of those things? Something more? Because I believe that if we can properly identify where you actually are, in the middle of all of those things that I just mentioned, where you are, if we can identify that, then we can, by default, easily identify every other voice. So when an opportunity like the one that I was talking about, where him asking me to do this, when that opportunity raises up and all of those other things come into my mind of you can't, you're not good at standing up in front of people and talking, and even if you were, they don't want to hear from you. When those things fire off inside my mind or inside my gut, I can recognize that those are not me. That's something else entirely. That's a different voice. And if I can separate them, well, now I can push them out of my way and keep my eyes on where I need to be and where I need to go. Why don't we act? We believe it. Like I said, these things have been changing me. What prevents us from acting? What prevents us from moving forward? We see the truth. It's illuminated. And we will say, like I said a while ago, yes, I believe that's true. That is truth. But something happens where we pull back. When we're tested, when that opportunity gets up in our face, we skip it until the next time we come in here and sit down and take notes in our notebook. I'm not pointing a finger at you, I'm pointing a finger at me. I've done it for a long time. And we write it in that book, and we write it in that book, and we probably never even look at it again. But if you took an inventory of your life, if you stood in front of a mirror and actually critically looked at yourself with the things that you write down in that notebook that meant something to you in that moment, would you be able to find them in your life? Would you be able to find them in how you speak to your wife or your children? Would you be able to find them in your life when it's time to go to work? What is it that prevents us from acting? How many times have you been minding your business and just had something pop in your mind? A face, a person, an idea, and it gets down in your gut, and it's like fireworks going off. You get almost as excited about the thought of it coming to you as you would if you were actually doing that thing for this person or with this person. Hey, go give Bill a $100 bill. Yeah, that's awesome. He's a good man, and I should give it to him. Go tell this person X or Y or Z. I woke up this morning, and for some reason, the moment I woke up, all I saw was Dave's face. And I don't know what he's dealing with, but I need to call him. Those are good things. But what I want to talk about now is the gap. There's a small gap. And it could be a moment, or it could be a week, or it could be a day. That gap that is in between hearing that or getting that idea, having that go off on the inside of you, and actually doing it, that gap, that timeline in between those two events is what I want to look at, because I think that's what's preventing us from doing that. Well, like I said a while ago, that's just in my head. I ate pizza last night and had a weird dream, and man, Bill don't need my money. Luke doesn't need me to pay his truck payment this month. I mean, Bill's got more money than I do. He don't need my money. And you talk yourself out of it in an instant, because we can't decipher voice A from voice B. I can't decipher me and Yahweh from all of those other things out of it, because that's actually easier. That's the easy way of doing it, because if I don't give you that, you actually would never know. No harm. The only one I'm cheating is myself. Because if Yahweh wanted you to have that, He's going to find a way to get it to you. I'm cheating myself from going to the next place, from taking the next step, from climbing up on the next rung of the ladder. If we can eliminate that gap between the hearing or the seeing and the doing, it's going to open up a whole new world to us, that we will walk in these things that we read about in these stories. It happens to all of us. And I think it happens because we haven't defined what you are and where you are. It's opposing voices. Because it feels like when you hear those things, it feels like it starts here. It feels like it, or it starts here. And then 2 minutes later, literally the opposite of that feels like it comes from here or it comes from here. And they both feel in that moment like they're me. But they're not. That makes no sense. But because the second one that comes is the one that doesn't cause me to stretch myself, and it doesn't cause me to be vulnerable or be embarrassed, it's easier to go that way. And so more times than not, we take that voice. We follow that idea. Because that one doesn't really require anything of me, and it doesn't hurt anybody. But it does. It hurts me. Like I said a while ago, I am done with that cycle. I'm tired of living in that circle over and over and over and over again. Because I have been changed. I'm a different man than I was. I'm not going back to do that again. And all it takes is for me to learn which voice is Yahweh, which voice is me. Because it's very important that when I hear Him say something, or when I see the thing that He's showing me, that's the thing that I say. So those two voices have to match. Anything contrary to those two voices, they're just in the way. And they're just fodder to be ignored. We read all these stories every week about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the awesome, incredible things that they did, and Noah, and Enoch, and Moses. They did awesome, awesome things. They were men and women just like us. But when we read those stories, it doesn't feel like that. We're talking about Abraham, Moses. And I think that we let them be just that. We let them be stories that are in a book. We don't recognize exactly what they are. They were men. They were women. Just like you are. Exactly like you are. There was no difference. There was no difference in how they were created. There is a small difference in their story and my story, though, and why. If we can identify that difference, that's something else that we can get better at. That's something else that we can begin to actually write my story. I'm going to write a story that someone is going to want to read. I've been changed. When they work towards something, all these men and women that we read about, when they work towards something, they were working towards something that they saw. And they were working towards something that they heard. That's confidence. But they immediately began to do it. They immediately began to recreate that vision that they had. That's what Jacob did. Anybody with a set of eyeballs would look at Jacob and the situation that he was in, and we would all agree, this is bad. There's no wins packed in this for you. Years and years and years of being mistreated, being abused, being taken for granted. And then he had a vision. A very small vision about rods that were stripped. And he didn't think it was dumb. After year after year after year of losing, he knew Yahweh loved him. He knew what Yahweh said about him. And he saw that vision and he thought, that's how we do it. That's how I win. And he went and stripped those sticks just like he saw in the vision. And he stuck them in the ground. And you know what happened? It took a long time. When he did that, there wasn't this immediate sirens and bells going off like he just pulled the handle on the winning machine at the casino. 14 more years, he stayed right there doing the same thing. 14 more years. 10 times the deal that he and his father-in-law struck up was changed. He didn't get discouraged. He didn't get angry and upset and think, he keeps changing the deal on me, man. He's going to confuse my stick. My sticks only produce ring-streaked and spotted. They're not going to know what to do. The stick didn't matter. Obeying did.
Right.
Obeying doing something that looks silly. If you go home tonight and you take a stick and you strip it and you stick it in your yard, that is silly. That is dumb. You weren't told to do it. You didn't see that vision. But it wasn't dumb for him to do it because that's what he was told to do. And that's what I want for myself to grab a hold of. And when these opportunities come up, like this one tonight for me, small thing to most everybody else. Big thing for me. And so I take the step that's in front of me and I do the thing that is right in front of me. And then that gives me confidence for the next time. The next time I'm like, well, hey, you know what? It worked last time. I'm going to keep taking the step that's right in front of me every single time. And if we can make ourselves retrain the way we think and retrain the way that we see the world around us, when those opportunities come, we'll take them and we'll keep climbing higher and higher and higher. We have to go higher and higher and higher for Yahweh to be able to accomplish all of the things that He needs done in our circle. We have to go higher than we are. Excuse me. There's never been a time more imperative ever to have money, to have wealth, to have multiple sources of income. Have you looked outside lately? It would be a very good thing to have plenty. It's not a bad thing to talk about. Those people were people. The people in the Bible, the people in those stories were people just like you and just like me. I don't know when Jacob saw that vision, I don't know what gap there was between that night or that evening when he had it, doing it. I don't know that while he was doing it, did he have those same thoughts that I sometimes have? I don't know. It doesn't tell me that in the book. I know he was a man just like me. But I know that he still did it. And another thing that I've noticed at a lot of these stories is that most all of them, they weren't having that. He didn't have that vision sitting in a church on Sabbath. Right. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being in a church on Sabbath. We should be. But most every time you read a story like Jacob's or Noah's, they were living their life. They were living in their world and they saw something. They heard something in the middle of their life to deal with what they had to deal with or to deal with a thing that they couldn't even see yet. Yahweh is with you every single moment of every single day, seeing the things that you see, hearing the things that you hear, hearing your thoughts, hearing your fears. That's where He's going to find you. That's where you're going to find Him, in the middle of your life. The difference between me up until this point and those men or those women is they were operating in their lives with Yahweh and they were operating in their lives like Yahweh. How were they doing that? They weren't sitting, like I said, in this when it happened. They were sitting by a well. They were measuring out the last little bit of flour that they had to see, how many meals can I make with this for 2 people? They were chopping down trees to build a boat, whatever that is. They were picking up a sword and standing in the middle of a field to guard their beans. Awesome things happened out of every single one of those people doing their life. trusting that Yahweh loved them, trusting that Yahweh looked out for them. But they did mighty things because when they saw something, that's what they did. When they heard something, that is specifically what they said. It worked. We have to disconnect our attention from the things pulling us away from what we see and what we hear. Because there's a lot of those things. And most all of them are inside us. They're inside our mind. That's the difference. You know, Sam and I, most every day, when I get home from work, before we do anything else, before we go inside and eat dinner, because we all know that once I get inside and I sit down, I'm probably not getting back up. So the first thing we do almost every single day is we go outside and we throw a baseball. Lately we've been throwing footballs every day. Sam's about to start his first year of football. He's excited about it. We're excited for him. And we do it almost every day, don't we? Every day. And we get out there and we talk about life. We talk about what he did today. What'd you do in school today? We talk about something funny or crazy that Brooks and Pepper did. Something funny Mommy said. A movie they watched. We talk about everything, and it is one of the best parts of my entire day. I remember when he was born and the doctor handed him to me. It was just not long after that I told Krista that I cannot wait for him to get big enough to stand out in the yard and throw with him. And now I get to live in that dream. I get to do that every day. And I love it. We also talk about what we're actually doing in that moment. We're doing it on purpose. We're doing it to get better. We're getting reps. And we talk about baseball. We talk about the right way how to do it. Talk about the right way to throw a football, the right way to catch a football. And a few days ago we were out there doing that, and I kept throwing the ball to this one specific area. And he was doing something with his hands that I could see really quickly that he was dropping most of those footballs. But I could see that he's going to have a hard time catching it consistently, and more than likely he was probably going to get hurt if he kept doing it that way. And so I stopped what we were doing and I walk over there to talk to him. And I said, hey bud, when I throw the ball here in this area, this is what you're doing. And I said, and that's wrong. What we're going to have to do, and I showed him the right way to do it. And I'm very detailed, aren't I? I'm very detailed in everything that I do. And so I told him the right way to do it, and I showed him the right way to do it. This is what it should look like. Yes, sir. And so I'll go back to my spot and I throw the next ball, same spot. Any guesses on what he did? Same thing. Bad habit, old habit. Right. Hey son, we just talked about this. We just talked about it, and you said, I understand. You said, yes, sir. I said, you're hanging on to an old habit. Your way doesn't work. Let it go. Even if my way, even if the right way feels uncomfortable to you, if it feels like I'm not going to be able to do this right, it's the right way. We have to make that feel normal. We have to make that be the way that Sam just catches a football. It won't take long, but you're going to have to trust me. And so, ball after ball after ball after ball, and we just kept doing the same thing over and over and over. And a lot of those times, Sam did it perfect. And I'm high-fiving him and I'm cheering him on. Attaboy, I knew you could do it. Good job. And there was a few mixed in there where he didn't do it right. And one of those times, he got hurt. He reaches up to catch it and the ball hits him and jams his thumb. And any of you that have jammed a finger, it hurts. And he jammed it good. And he's crying. And I take my time and I walk over to him, and I could see it in his eyes when I got there. I knew what he wanted to do when I got there. He wanted to quit. This hurts. It was fun a while ago, but now it ain't fun no more. This hurts. And I reached down and I patted him on his chest and I said, Sam, I'm going to tell you something. This is where you are. And then I reached down and I grabbed his hand and I said, this ain't you. This body, it's a tool. And then I touched him on the forehead and I said, this ain't you either. Those two things are tools, awesome tools that Yahweh gave you, but they're not who you are. Don't let them lie to you. You are something different than those two things, your body and your brain. They're magnificent tools, and they're a blessing. I'm glad I have both. But in that moment, and in so many other moments in our life, when we reach that moment, football's awesome, football's fun until I get hurt. Having a wife is awesome. Until it's not. Until she's mad at me, or vice versa. That's not the moment to pull back. That's not the moment to quit. That's the moment to dig in and be determined, because you hurt yourself. He hurt his thumb. And it sends signals up his arm into his brain in a blink of an eye. And his brain, whoa mule, stop. We're not doing this anymore. That is bad. That actually, jamming your thumb hurts real bad. Stop doing that. We're not good at catching footballs, so let's do something else. Your brain is awesome. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of operations it executes every single day, and a lot of those operations it's executing them at the same exact time. The moment that you're born, the first thing you start doing is breathing, and you don't think about it because you don't know to do it. Your brain is a control center that is controlling every single piece, every single part of your body. It's just doing it. Your heart's pumping right now. You're not thinking about breathing every day of your life, but you're doing it. Or you weren't thinking about it until I just said it, but now you probably are. It just does it. It's awesome. But one of the main things that your brain does, and I'm so glad that it does it, but it's one of its main tasks is to keep you inside your body. To keep you safe. To keep you alive. And I'm glad that it does it. And when something's hard, when something is scary or something is dangerous, something that I'm doing, even if it was fun 2 minutes ago, just caused me to get hurt. Well, your brain fires in and it starts doing its job and says, nope, Brian, you're not doing that anymore. Sam, go back to baseball. My brain begins to scream, stop. Just like his thumb told his brain what happened, and his brain screamed at him to stop. But we can't do that. And so I told him, pick up the ball and throw it back to me. We're going to keep going. Now every time that you go to try to catch a football today, every time you make a fist and that thing hurts, you got a trophy. You got a reward for doing it wrong. That's all it is. It's input. It's data from doing something the wrong way. Now, if you look at failures the wrong way, you're going to hate them. If you look at failures the wrong way, you're going to be embarrassed by them. You're going to be ashamed by them. You're going to not try loads and loads of things because I might fail. I might swing and miss. Don't be embarrassed by a failure. Don't be embarrassed by putting yourself out there and trying something new. Don't feel like a failure when you fail. Feel like an expert. Sam knew immediately how not to do it. That's valuable. That's a good thing to know. You know exactly how not to do it. Well, you're more than likely not going to do it that way. He could remember immediately. That's bad. I ain't doing it. Fails, swings and misses, things that don't work out the way that I intended them to, is just data. There's no bad data. There's no good data. There's no good information or bad information. It's just data. And if I shun those things or avoid things I might fail at, or if I try to hide it and forget about it, you'll hear that a lot in the sports world. Oh man, forget about it. Don't worry about it. No, keep it in front of you. Know what you did. Study why you did what you did, and don't do it again. If I just forget it and pretend like it didn't happen, or if I shrink away and don't ever try to do it again, I can't learn from it. It's good data. And like I said, you are in here. You're wearing this body. You have this brain that's a tool that you have to train. But who are you? Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. He created everything on this earth that you can see. He created them for you. He did it with His words. And He looked out over darkness. The Bible says that it was void. There was nothing. And He said, "Light be." Now, it wasn't that the light switch was turned off. There was no light. It didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. Light wasn't there until He said it. And when He said it, light did what He said to do. It beed. It became in a place where it had never been before. Right. That's who created me. Yeah. He made the birds in the air. He made the beast in the field. He made the seas. He made the trees. He made all of it for us. And then He made me. And then He made you. But He did something different when He got to us than He did with all of those other things. He made you in His image. He made me in His image. In His image. Just like Him. He made everybody in this room the same way. He made you the same way that He made Moses, the same way that He made Noah, the same way that He made Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the same way He made all the people that are watching on video tonight. We're all made the same way. In His image. He made you perfectly. When you go home and you look in the mirror, know that He made you just as He intended to make you. There's no accidents. There's no uh-ohs. There's no, He made her pretty and He made me ugly. He made this one tall and this one short. He made this one confident when he speaks, and He makes this one shy and unskilled with his words. He didn't do that. He made you in His image. He made you just like Him. And so when I read what Moses did, or when I read what Noah did, or when I read what Yeshua said when people were surrounding Him wanting to kill Him, now I can read it different because I was made just the same way that they were made. There's no difference. The only difference is the story. And they had a story because they understood something in that moment or in their life that up until this moment, I didn't understand. I didn't understand who I was. I didn't understand what I was. But now I do. Now I can write my own story. Now when someone says, "Do you want to speak?" Yeah, I got something to say. Now when an opportunity that I've been talking about over and over and over and over and over, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to have. When that opportunity comes up, it won't look like an inconvenience. Well, no, I'm waiting on the big thing. Well, this small thing and that small thing and that small thing equal the big thing. Now I see them for what they are because I know who I am. He made you perfect. Be just like Him. Speak just like Him. It's like a chess match with two master chess players sitting across from each other. You've got the white and you've got the black, and they're taking turns making moves. And at some point in that game, before it's over, one of them is going to be, "Hey man, 7 moves and I got you, checkmate." Way before they get to the end, but they still play. They don't quit right then. The game's not over, but they can see the end. They can see it. That's what Yahweh's like. Yahweh sees the whole board, just like those master chess players. That's the way we have to be. When we follow the truths that we've been seeing, and we hang on to them, and we protect them, and we start putting them into our everyday life, the board now becomes clear. I feel like for the first time in 41 years, I feel like I see the whole board now. If we turned all the lights off in this room right now, and Spencer took a little pen flashlight out of his pocket and said, "Hey Brian, I knew you were coming tonight, and I got you a present that I know you're going to like. Krista told me you love these things." All the lights are off, and he took his little pin flashlight and he waved it over in the far corner of the house and said, there it is over there. Go get it. He did get it for me. It's mine. With no lights, all I can see is the little pin flashlight pointing in the corner over there. I'm going to trip over feet. I'm going to stumble over these chairs. I'm going to fall over the couch. This is not my house. I don't know it like Spencer does. That's a tough thing to get to. And every time I fall down or twist my ankle, I look up and I see again, man, it'll only be like it's getting any closer. How long of doing that before I get frustrated, before I quit? And when I was talking earlier about this is not what you've heard before. This is not the name it and claim it, put a mantra on a post-it and slap it on your mirror. Right. And scream favor every time I get a parking spot up in front of Walmart. Don't trivialize it. It's much bigger than that, and it's much more important than that. This is not name it and claim it. This is biblical principles. That other thing was a bite off the corner of a piece of a biblical principle. This is the whole game board. This is now Spencer's telling me, hey y'all, turn the lights on. I got Brian a present and it's over there. Well, that's the difference. Because now, no matter how many of you tried to get in my way or stick your foot out in front of me or slide a chair in front of me, the lights are on. Well, now when that thing tries to tell me you're not getting over there, I keep my eyes on the end. I see the end like Yahweh does, and so that's where I'm going. And so every time I have to move something, I move it. If the chair's in my way, I pick it up, move it out of the way. I keep walking. I look down and my shoes are untied. Well, I stoop down and I tie them, but I can still see the end. That's the difference. That's what I didn't have before. I didn't know the end. That's how Yahweh operates. That's how He created you, in His image, just like Him. Don't sell yourself short. We are all more than we have allowed ourselves to become. We are. We're bigger than that. We're stronger than that. It's like I told Sam that day. Bud, you are strong and you're tougher than you could imagine. The ceiling for you is higher than you could even pretend to imagine that it is. You can do this. It's the same message here. Don't sell yourself short. Don't say, I can't do it. Don't say, well, I'm not good at talking. Who cares? Who cares? Do something. Keep your eye on the end, because the end is the prize. Holding it at the end, that's a component of it. That's a piece of this puzzle. I hold it, I see it, I love it. I'm so excited. This is what I've been talking about for 10 years. It's real. It's a component of the whole process. Having it in here, having it in my spirit, having it in my mouth, keep it in front of me every single day, looking around and keeping my eye on, yep, it's still there. That's having it too. That's holding on to it too. And if we put all of the weight and we put all of the importance on the holding it day, the last day, we're going to give up. And we're going to quit way before we get to the end. And we're going to stand in front of people and we're going to tell them, it don't work. It doesn't work. You're lying. Because you didn't know the truth. But this day is a part of it too. And I have to talk right and I have to act right. I have to keep it in front of me and keep my eyes on the prize. Keep my eyes on the end just like my Father does. When He made you, the day that He made you, He knew the end. That's how I have to be. That's how you have to be. The last thing I want to say is to reiterate what I said a while ago about how we were created. Every single one of you were created perfectly. He walked away from everything when He was creating. He said, "Ooh, that's good. There is no improving that. That's exactly how it should be." And then He walked to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then when He got to you, He made you just like Him. And He said the same thing. That's exactly how it should be. And if anything you get tonight, this is what I want you to walk away with, is that you are enough of everything that you need to be. Everything that you need to be, everything that those around you need you to be, you're enough of that. You were created in the image of Yahweh, just like Him. And He gave you access to everything that He had, the same that I would do for my children. Everything that He has, He gave to you. Don't sell yourself short. Don't talk bad about the thing that He made perfect. Because He made you perfect. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, tall, short, boy, girl, it doesn't matter. Any other divisions that you see on those subjects, they come from here. They come from all over the place, but they didn't come from Him. He made you in His image. Walk in that. Start to practice seeing the end. What does multiple sources of income look like? What's that feel like? What does driving that brand new high country Chevrolet pickup feel like? It's not about money. It's not about stuff. But when you walk in the things that He tells us to walk in, and you walk in the truth that He shows us, and you put these things into practice in your life, you can go story after story after story with all of these men that we've been talking about tonight. Every single one of them, they were wealthy. They had stuff. They weren't moving in their lives just to acquire stuff, but they had it. We are no different. Don't be ashamed of failures. Put them on the shelf and learn from them. Amen. Well, stand up with me. When I was doing this in my head, it always took longer than it probably just took tonight, because I was nervous. But I am grateful that you all came today. I know Mom and Dad are grateful for your faithfulness, and it means a lot to me that you were here tonight with me. Yahweh, I thank You for today. I thank You for this family. We thank You for Your Sabbath. Yahweh, You are a good Father. I thank You for Your faithfulness and for Your mercy. Any time that I have ever stepped off the path or strayed from the path, Your mercy always allows me to be back right where I'm supposed to be. I thank You that every time when we're searching, You illuminate truth for us. You show us where to step. You show us how to make corrections and what corrections should be made. You are a good Father. Father, I pray that as we go tonight, as we decide to never be the same, to never be the old Brian, to never be the old versions of ourselves, as we determine in our minds and in our hearts to go the correct way, to go the new way, I ask You to give us dreams and visions. I ask You to whisper to us when we sleep. Whisper to us while we're driving down the road. Give us ideas that will change our life and change the entire world. Because when opportunities come before us, Father, we will act, we will step, and we will move. I thank You for Your goodness. And I ask, Father, that You make each and every one of us wiser tomorrow than we were today. And Yahweh, in Your holy name I pray. Amen.